Okay, you don't want to get near me.
I don't want to touch you. I've heard.
Good morning, everyone. If we could get everyone to take a seat. I want to welcome everyone that's here today. We're glad to have you. Could all of the English faculty please stand? I'm serious. All of the English professors, please stand. No one's willing to admit they're an English professor? We got one. We got two. I hear, through the rumor mill, that you think we made a mistake with the sign, that we don't know what an apostrophe is. I'm an English professor. I know what an apostrophe is. And there are two presidents in the room today. And that's why there's two up there. We wanted to send a message, an important message, that it is about the students. And so I have asked Melissa Bardo to come up and be part of today, to be part of a discussion about the future of our university and our students, and what the students mean to us, and what student government and ASI are doing for us. Melissa's been a friend since I got here. She remains a friend. And we got some great, great members of the ASI right over here, and I'm very grateful for them. Melissa, please come forward.
Good morning, students, staff, faculty, and community members. My name is Melissa Rose Bardo, and I'm a biology student here at Sacramento State, serving as the 64th Associated Students President. Now, I know that President Nelsen is going to be talking about four-year graduation rates a little later on, and I have to admit, I'm not setting the best example by being a fifth-year student. But President Nelsen, I promise I'm graduating this semester. Joking aside, I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge President Nelsen for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you today. This is the first time I can recall in Sac State history that a student has spoken at a university president's address. I think it demonstrates just how student-focused President Nelsen is. In the short time that I've gotten to know him, I can confidently say that he has consistently been an ally for students. President Nelsen is ready to create change on this campus, and he is carving a path for even greater student success. I would like to take this opportunity to tell you what Associated Students does for the campus community and how we are contributing to student success. Associated Students Incorporated, or ASI, is an organization that is run for students, by students. ASI is most commonly thought of as student government, but we are so much more than that. To some, ASI is the affordable and convenient child care services that student parents can access so they can focus in class knowing their child is safe. Last year, 220 enrolled children received excellent care from 13 professional staff and over 100 student staff at the ASI Children's Center. Not only are student parents benefiting from this service, but student employees are also obtaining practical experience that they can apply to their future careers. To others, ASI is the place to escape the daily stresses of going through college and working. Over 12,000 students visited Lake Natomas last year to take advantage of our aquatic center. While these types of services may not directly relate to academics, these recreation these recreational opportunities are important because they add to the physical and mental well-being of our students. ASI has many other successful programs and initiatives, but the easiest way I can describe what ASI is students helping students. Student volunteers drove more than 25,000 miles last year in an effort to give their peers a safe and confidential ride home through our service, Safe Rides. That is evidence that our students are not only here to receive a great education, but also to give back and serve their community. Student success is the key to everything we do in ASI. Many will argue that student success starts with the curriculum. And while I acknowledge that coursework is certainly important to our success, performance in the classroom is not the only factor that determines a student's success at this university. Students are required to balance school with work, family obligations, extracurricular activities, volunteer hours, and commuting. Additionally, there are many students who struggle with the added stresses of homelessness, food insecurity, and even with their undocumented status. Associated students and the Board of Directors is committed to meeting the various unmet needs of our peers and helping them along in their efforts to graduate. After considering tuition, textbooks, rent, parking, and other costs associated with being a college student, many students struggle to afford their next meal. With the launch of the ASI Food Pantry, students in need are now provided with the opportunity to access free items like canned vegetables, pastas, cereals, and toiletries. With over 600 students visiting the pantry this last semester, we can clearly see that there is a need there, and the support we are providing to students to help nourish themselves and focus on their academic studies. Partnering with the Central Downtown Food Basket and the Sacramento Food Bank, we were able to provide even healthier options to students in need by launching the pop-up pantry, which served over 500 students this past semester. With your support, we have hosted over 20 campus and community food drives that have helped keep our shelves stocked throughout the year. On behalf of Associated Students and the entire student body, I would like to thank you for your support in serving our students. But our student leadership does not end with this campus. Last year, our student government was involved in a system-wide campaign called Stand with the CSU. This was a collaborative effort with the California State Student Association and the Chancellor's Office to advocate for a fully funded CSU budget. The budget originally proposed by Governor Brown was $97 million short of what the CSU needed to adequately serve its students. As the capital's university, Sacramento State's student government led the charge in rallying students across the CSU to lobby at the state capitol. We shared our stories of sitting on the floors of classrooms, praying that we would be added to the prerequisite classes we needed in order to progress in our degree. I told my story of Sequoia Hall not being an adequate building or safe building to sustain the rigorous curriculum our faculty teach. I'm proud to say that the legislators listened. They approved the CSU's proposal of an additional $97 million to fully fund the CSU system for the first time since before the recession. What was most remarkable about this accomplishment is that it was a partnership between students, staff, and faculty. When we leveraged those partnerships to advocate for students, Sacramento State and the CSU is at its strongest. Nonetheless, our work is not over. The governor's budget proposal this year is again $100 million short of what the CSU needs to properly serve its students. We are committed to amplifying student voices to the California legislature, and I hope that you will join us in that effort. You can expect to see us at the Capitol and you can expect students to be fighting for the education we deserve. The reason I am sharing this with you is because it is time that we as a campus acknowledge that student voices matter in these conversations. And more importantly, the student voices are the most powerful. For too many years, we have been operating under the premise that change does not happen fast enough in higher education. I reject that premise because I have met so many passionate members of this community who are creating change every day on campus. Whether it is the faculty member from my biology class, the administrator I meet with to discuss student concerns, or the talented students I have the privilege of working with every day. Together, we are changing the culture of the university. To the students, I encourage you to challenge yourself, to step outside of your comfort zone, and to speak up when you have concerns. Additionally, share your ideas on how to resolve the issues that you experience in your academic pursuits. This is your university, and you have the right to be involved in the decision-making. I promise that you won't be alone. ASI will help you deliver your message. To the faculty, staff, and administrators, we ask that you listen. Even if you don't agree, still listen to and acknowledge a student concern, because we are doing our best to navigate a very complex system. The solutions to these issues might not always be easy, but I challenge you to think beyond what is just reasonable and think about what the students truly deserve from the institution they are investing their time and money in. As students, we came to Sacramento State to receive a great education. So please recognize that we are tired of being asked to wait, to tough it out, and to pay more. We cannot and will not sit idly by while the CSU system continues to accumulate more than $2 billion of deferred maintenance. We won't stay silent if our academic building infrastructure cannot support our education. And we will not give up on ensuring that students feel safe and heard on their campus. I have attended numerous committee meetings, lobby visits, and receptions. And more often than not, I see ideas being shot down because it just takes too long or too much effort. But all you have to do is take a look around at some of the most recent successes to prove that is not true. Look no further than the ASI Food Pantry that was established in a matter of only 2 semesters of planning. A student's idea evolved into a tangible resource for students with the support of staff, faculty, and community members. Or take a look at the Student Emergency Grant Fund, which was created seemingly overnight. This was another idea that started with students in this very room. Or look at how quickly 2 new sections of statistics were added immediately after a student posted a viral video of more than 50 students crashing one class. All it takes is putting our heads together to turn those small ideas into realities. As students, faculty, and staff, we are all Hornets, and we are all learning from each other. Together, we can accomplish great things for this university, and I truly believe that. Thank you. Again, I would like to thank President Nelsen for providing me with this important opportunity for student voices to be heard at this address. Thank you, and with that, I'd like to welcome President Nelsen back to the podium.
I would hug her if I could, but as some of you know, I'm on the tail end of a cold. At least I hope it's the tail end of a cold. And it's not a good idea. I have already made Jody's sick. Hi, Jody. She's watching. There's been a bet out there about when I would make somebody cry today. There aren't going to be any tears because this is a serious address, talking about serious things. I've struggled about what to say today, with what I could say that would be worth your time. We've only been here 7 months, and those 7 months have gone by so fast, and we have so much work to do. It's been a rewarding and exhilarating experience for Jody and me, and I remain convinced that the university must be student-focused and student-centered. Still, I've learned a lot since I ended my fall address with the Rosanna Dana, Gilda Radner, never mind pledge. A pledge that I might have to change directions and do things differently once I had been here longer and was more knowledgeable. Well, I was right. And I'm already starting to have a runny nose. For instance, as I've gotten to know you and the university and California better, I've learned that the guiding principle that I used to shape my fall address doesn't really fit Sac State. In my head, only a couple months away from Texas, as I wrote the speech, I repeated the mantra that had guided me when I was in Texas making decisions. The mantra was, we have one purpose and one purpose only, to graduate as many students as we can, as quickly as we can, with the best education that we can provide them. Yes, we do need to graduate as many students as we can. And yes, we do need to graduate them as quickly as we can. Hence, I'm going to focus today on our graduation initiatives and our graduation rates. But I understand better today what it means to be California's capital university. I understand better today what the effects of the so-called Great Recession have had on California, on the infrastructure of our university, on the faculty, and on the staff. I've learned about furloughs, the stagnant wages, the lack of large classrooms, the outdated labs, and the peeling linoleum. I've seen periodic table in Sequoia Hall that are dated 1970. I've seen women's hair dryers from Target that we're using in lieu of Bunsen burners to heat chemicals. I've watched students crash courses for that one empty seat. And I've been at soccer matches where we are still using porta potties. I've watched the long lines as students and faculty drive onto campus. And yes, I have seen the cars circling for parking. And I have walked up the 4 flights of stairs in Amador Hall because the elevator wasn't working. We are making progress. We will have a new state-of-the-art science building, which will begin construction next year. We will have a new 1,300 spot parking garage, which will go out for bid this year. We're getting designs drawn to re-engineer the south entrance to campus and to move the bus depot at the north end of campus. We are hiring 42 faculty, 24 of whom are new faculty lines. We have hired a graduation czar, Jim Draga, to head up, evaluate, and reorganize our graduation initiatives. We have plans for new restrooms at the soccer fields and to put air conditioning in the nest where it gets up to 105 degrees in the summer when there's kids in there in summer camps. But making progress is not enough. Not enough for a great university like Sac State. Not enough for our students or our faculty or our staff or our community. We need more. But more of what? You've already heard a little bit from Melissa about the governor's budget, and I'll talk about it in a little bit more. But I can tell you that I am very concerned that the governor's proposed budget, while increasing the funding to the CSU by $148 million for the entire system, it is still $100 million short of the system's request. The proposed budget will only support 200 additional students at Sac State next year. It contains only $35 million for deferred maintenance and infrastructure, and that is for the entire CSU system, all 23 campuses and the system headquarters. $35 million when we have a $2.8 billion deferred maintenance deficit across the system. What I have really learned in my first 7 months is that we are doing too much with too little. The graduation initiative began in 2009. We have currently reported to CSU system that we have 33 separate initiatives addressing our graduation and retention rates. I'm not going to list them all to you, but I want to do just a few so you get an idea of how many there are. 1, easing academic pathways for academic at-risk students. 2, upper division tutoring expansion. Closing the achievement gaps through the degree project, remedial rollback, career ready initiative, integrated degree planning, classroom scheduling optimization, retention and graduation, enrollment, cancel students, academic, you get the point. They go on and on and on, 33 of them. And even if I listed those all 33, that doesn't cover everything that all of you are doing out there. How do I know that? Because the initiatives that I've just listed are university-wide initiatives. And we have asked every department to come up with its own retention and its own graduation plans. So there's even more work going out there in trying to close the gap. Yet even all these initiatives, even with all this work, so much work, we have not moved the needle in terms of our 4-year graduation rate for first-time, full-time students, and barely moved the needle in terms of our 5- and 6-year graduation rates. In 2009, our 4-year graduation rates were 8%. In 2015, 8%. Again. That's down from 1% from last year when I addressed you. Our 5-year rates have improved a bit from 28 to 32%. Our 6-year rates have improved from 41 to 46%. So there's been some progress, though not nearly what we want or would expect with all the hard work and great efforts that are being expended. Not when we are spending as much as we are spending on the graduation initiatives. $4.7 million on those 33 initiatives. Yet our rates sadly lag behind the average for the other 23 CSU campuses. They average 18.6 for 4 years and 54% for 6 years. All of which brings us back to the governor's budget. The budget is unprecedented in that it contains for the first time a chart of the 4-year graduation rates for all CSU campuses. It's never happened before. We are listed at 9%, last year's figure. Where do you think that 9% places us amongst the other 22 campuses? 20th. Third from the last. Only Cal State LA and Dominguez Hills are below us. That's with, I repeat, us dedicating $44.7 million to move that needle. We are not and will not play the blame game and blame our students or our high schools or their high school teachers. And we're not going to blame the 33 initiatives either, or the faculty that are working so hard, or the staff that are working so hard, or the advisors, or anyone. But we must be realistic about the world in which we live. A world that expects a lot of us, that stresses accountability, and that sets goals for us. The current goals for the CSU system for Sac State are 16% for our four-year graduation rates and 51% for our six-year graduation rates. In other words, we are missing the targets currently by 8 and 5%. Am I concerned? Are we all concerned? Yes. I'm even more concerned that the CSU system has set goals for 2025 as 24% for the four-year graduation rates and 60% for the four-year graduation rate. There is some good news. The good news is that we are already surpassing our goals for having the gap between our underrepresented minorities and other students. The goal was to cut the gap to 7% by 2025, and we're already at 6%. So some of the 33 initiatives are working. At least I presume they are. They're working amongst the underrepresented minorities. But we have a long way to go to hit the 16% mark for the four-year graduation rate for first-time, full-time freshmen. And even that number, I believe, is much too low. All of which brings us yet back to the governor's proposed budget. Performance funding. Funding based on meeting the performance measures such as graduation rates is not mandated in that budget. However, when discussing the Chancellor's Student Success Initiatives and completion rates, the following sentence appears, and I want you to listen to it. While the Chancellor's efforts are steps in the right direction, the administration expects to see continued work in the budget year to advance these reforms, including the adoption of a funding model based primarily on student success that targets additional resources to campuses that are successfully serving the students with the greatest needs. In Tennessee, all funding is performance-based. In many, many states at this point, at least 25% is performance-based. Call it accountability, call it performance-based funding, call it whatever you want to call it, but whatever it is coming. Even here. CSU has announced 16 performance-based measures. They haven't said how they're going to use them yet, but let me give you just some of them. And again, I don't want to read all 16 of them. It's in the speech. If you want to look at it, you can look at it. But the number and proportion of transfer students, the number of and percentage of new transfers, number and percentage of low-income students, number and percentage of of new low-income students, 4-year graduation rates and 4-year low-income graduation rates, 4- and 6-year graduations, 4- and 6-year low-income graduation rates. It goes on, and percentage of freshmen with enough units to graduate in 4 years. Total number of graduates who are freshmen, transfer students, graduate students, and low-income students. Total funds received divided by the number of degrees awarded. Start thinking about this. Average number of units from all sources accumulated to graduate for freshmen and transfer students. Number of STEM degrees awarded. There are more. We are moving there, and we need to be prepared. We at Sac State have tended to emphasize our 6-year graduation rates as our primary measures for first-time, full-time freshmen, and our 4-year graduation rates for our transfer students. Well, no longer. We need to emphasize done in 4 and done in 2. It's a moral imperative. We need to focus on 4-year graduation goals for freshmen and 2-year graduation goals for transfer students. Not because it's in the governor's proposed budget. Not at all. Not because system wants us to do it. Not at all. We need to focus on the 4-year graduation rate and goals because we need to do the right thing. We estimate that each year of college costs Sac State students $24,766. Melissa, by not graduating in 4 years, you spent an extra $24,766 of your parents, and I met your dad today, okay? Every year beyond the 4 for freshmen and beyond 2 for transfer students has the potential of adding extra debt. Quite bluntly, it is costing students who are graduating in 6 years an additional $50,000. $50,000 more than it's costing the students who are graduating in 4 years. We cannot feel good. We cannot, in good conscience, feel good about our students graduating in 6 years if there is any way at all. And I know some of them will take 6 years, but if there's any way at all that we can help them graduate in 4, we must do so. We must. So it would seem, going back to the beginning of this speech, that our guiding principle should be, let's graduate as many students as we can, as quickly as we can. It would seem that would be a good motto for Sac State. But that motto doesn't really capture the culture of Sac State. That's what I've learned. People here at Sac State, the staff, the advisors, the faculty, the nurses, people in the physical plant, people working in the student union, they care deeply about our students. We truly are a Hornet family. A Hornet family that wants to help our students. I've heard that sentiment, that desire to help, in the Faculty Senate. I heard it when I met with the faculty in the Department of Sociology. I heard it when I ate lunch with the people in risk management. I heard it when I met with the Friends of the Library. I heard it when I toured the labs in the College of Engineering and Computer Science. I am extremely proud to be part of the Hornet family because we are a family. Given the caring nature of our Hornet family, I would like to propose a different guiding principle, a principle that fits Sac State, a principle that ran through my head as I contemplated what to say today. Before we make any decision, before we act, before we spend a dollar, we must ask, how will what we are about to do help our students? How does it, whatever it is, how does it help our students? That should be our guiding principle. That should be what we should ask before we do anything. Still, that question is not enough. I have no doubt that all 33 initiatives are there to help students. And they are. But are they helping the maximum number of students? Because resources, time, and energy are limited, we also must ask, will what I'm about to do help the maximum number of students? We have 30,284 students whom we need to help graduate in a more timely fashion without added debts. Our initiatives need to touch as many students as possible. So, at the administrative level, our guiding principle must be, will what we are about to do help the greatest number of students possible? And at the personal level, our guiding principle should be, will what I'm about to do help students? Obviously, I asked Melissa Bardo to be part of the spring address precisely because I wanted the address to be student-centered, which, as I began today, I said this university must be and is. Yes, we do need to do research, but every research proposal that we write must be preceded by the question, how will this research grant help my students? Our research proposal volume increased 14% last year to $69.2 million. That's good. Our research awards increased 21% to $24.7 million. That's even better. Better, I know, because I attended all of the fairs and the expositions where the faculty and the students were presenting their joint research efforts. Our research goals for submitting proposals totaling $80 million and increasing awards from $24.7 million to $30 million are laudable, doable, and reasonable if we remember our guiding principle. We must remember that our research must be for the benefit of our students, whether it is helping faculty remain on the cutting edge or whether it's engaging the individual students in the process. I have two major initiatives to announce today. One, the creation of a diversity office, the hiring of a diversity officer, and the establishment of a permanent diversity council that will consist of students, staff, faculty, and that will deal with issues affecting students, staff, and faculty. Now the hard one. 2, refocusing the graduate initiative on a 4-year graduation goal for our freshmen and on a 2-year graduation goal for our transfer students. Both of these initiatives will help the maximum number of students possible. As the 7th most diverse university west of the Mississippi, 56.5% of our students are underrepresented minority students. Having faculty who look like them, recruiting, hiring, and retaining faculty who look like them, I believe will help our students. providing resources for our underrepresented minority students, having discussions about microaggressions, about racism, about America's past and its future will help our students. I do not know what the diversity... I knew the diversity piece was going to get me claps, okay? I know that the 4-year is not going to get me claps, but the 4-year is important. I don't know what the diversity office will look like. I'm waiting for guidelines and advice from the diversity task force, which is busy at work. But we need to get started by appointing an interim director of diversity, director of the diversity office, who will serve for a maximum of 1 year. He or she will report to the president's office with dotted lines to the provost office, student affairs, and human resources. The job of the interim diversity director will be to shape the office based on the recommendations of the diversity task force and based upon discussions with faculty, staff, and students. Once the diversity office is established, we'll have a search for a permanent diversity director. At this point, we don't know to whom the diversity director will report. As I said, we need guidance from all. But I do know that his or her charge will be, how do the decisions that we are making benefit the greatest number of students possible? In the meantime, we have scheduled at least 10 lectures and panels directly associated with diversity. I'm not going to list them all, but I wanted to give you a flavor of them. It's a few highlights in February and March. February 5th, the film documented. February 10th, a lecture by Geneset Gutierrez, a transgender activist from Mexico. February 19th, I'm really proud of the library on this one because they came up and they brought this idea forward. Hysteria, Racism, Politics, the Japanese American Experience and the Present. It's directly going to talk about the proposals to put Muslims in internment camps and what that would mean. February 25th, we couldn't get Obama here, but we got his sister coming, okay? Dr. Maya Soetoro will do a lecture on leadership and conflict resolution, Soetoro-ing. March 8th, Cesar Chavez film screening. March 9th, lecture by Roxanne Dubar Ortiz, the author of An Indigenous People's History of the United States. As I said, I could go on, but we'll end with that one. It's got a clap. With the graduation initiative, we already have someone, as I said, who's coming to redirect that initiative, Jim Dragna. He will be here on the 27th. In looking at the 33 initiatives, I have learned, as I said, that we are doing way too much without knowing what is working and what is not. We need to focus our energy and our funding. As part of the 33 graduation initiatives this year alone, we are dedicating $4.7 million to add new advisors, new faculty, to address bottleneck courses, and to support high-impact projects like supplemental instruction and the PALS program. We need to know where to spend the funds. Jim Dragna's charge is to do an inventory of every project that we have to improve graduation and retention rates, and do a cost-benefit analysis to determine where we have the most benefits for the bucks for our students.
Some of what I call little darlings, our pet projects, will likely be cut. But if we work smart on the right projects, a greater number of our students will receive help, the help that they need to graduate in 4 years. I will be asking Dr. Dragna to make a presentation to the faculty, staff, and students in the fall of next year and every year thereafter on the progress that we are making toward our students graduating in 4 and 2 years respectively. He will report on what initiatives have been eliminated, but please note that the elimination of the initiatives will not result in the elimination of faculty or staff. We're spread so thin and people are working simultaneously on so many projects that everyone will be retained in their positions where they can use their talents. He will also provide us with data about how we are progressing and with strategic blueprints outlining how we can succeed within the constraints of our budget. In short, with refocusing on the graduation initiative, on graduating students in 4 years, we should not just fund what we love or what we think will work. We need to be accountable. We need to have a plan. Never, never should our modus operandi be do more with less. Instead, we need to work smarter. Our students deserve better. I'm very serious about investing in our students. The reason that I've chosen not to have an investiture, that ceremony where you supposedly crown me, a recognition of the changing of the guard, is precisely because I want the funds that we do have to be dedicated to our students. The funds that should have gone into the house for the president are now being invested in the kitchens and the serving areas in the dorms. I invite you to go over there and to see what is being done. And if I may, I suggest you eat a meal, and I really suggest you to eat the cheese enchiladas. They are very good. We have much more work to do if we're going to help our students and improve our graduation rates. The plan that I laid out in my fall address is ambitious, I know, and we have had to adjust it. Remember, Rosanna Dana. We had to adjust it because I've learned about laws that I didn't know about. I've learned about history. I've learned about rules. I learned about executive orders. We've also had to adjust it because of budget and what we can do. So, how are we doing? How are we progressing? You deserve a brief update on my work plan. If the governor is asking us to be accountable, if systems asking us to be accountable, then you have the right to ask me to be accountable. Right now, there are a lot of incompletes. You'll see that. But it's only 7 months going, and I'm being told to speed it up. Okay? So, we won't read it all, we'll just tell you what they are, okay? First was to improve graduation rates. We got a graduation czar coming in, we got Platinum Analytics and Ad Astra, we've got the roadmaps put in, so we're making progress on that route. On the high school front, I'm proud to say that Sac City Unified District has agreed to put in their high schools, in every one of their high schools, the expository writing and reading course. So for the first time, those students are not going to be in remediation. 2, improve retention rates for all 4 years. We put in the college ready, transfer ready, and the career ready programs there. We've implemented class scheduling at this point. Our deans will be receiving reports on what classes are available and what classes are needed. We're hiring the faculty that I mentioned. I have charged, and this part is important, and I've got to read this part. I have charged Interim Provost Mike Lee to establish a transparent formula for making decisions about whom to hire in the future based upon student-faculty ratios in departments, graduation and retention rates, impaction, overall enrollment, departmental fit, et cetera, et cetera. We need to know why we're hiring faculty and where we're hiring them, and we will know. We will publish that formula, and we'll ask all departments to use that formula when they are requesting additional faculty. Unfortunately, the 15-hour credit that I wanted to do, so that students who are taking 15 hours, they get $500 credit, we're still not there yet, because we can't promise them that we got the courses for them, and we're just setting them up. We've got to get the courses there for them. Reduce the time to degree, 3. We're in the middle of a space optimization project. The library found out the other day that they had 10 rooms that were not even on the grid, okay? We're gonna get there. 71% of our chairs say they don't have enough large classrooms. We're gonna build large classrooms in Folsom Hall, and we're gonna build large classrooms on that 3rd floor. And we're going to build large classrooms in the new science building, and we're going to move forward. 56.25% of the chairs say they have bottleneck courses. We will continue funding so that they don't, and we'll continue creating a more robust summer. That's also an incomplete, but we're beginning to move forward with it. We would prefer to have a full-time summer available. Only 7,000 students took classes last summer. 7,000, we got 30,000 students here. We need to offer more classes. We're trying to work with the Chancellor's office, with others, about not counting summer students so they don't count on our FTE cap. If that happens, we'll be able to explode it, and I think we will get there. And we'll be able to offer grants and scholarships in the summer for our students, which we have not been able to do. Centralized data analysis operations. This one is a incomplete, okay? We haven't done it. We do have someone coming in next month. She has created a survey that will be going to all the data operations. She will be interviewing and talking to people, and by February and March, at the end of March, we will have a report on how to centralize it, and we will bring that report to the President's Council and the Administrative Council in May. So we'll get there by summer. 5, create a centralized career and internship office to help students find employment. We have formalized the policy for internships, which is clarifying all of the processes that are there. I've met with multiple chief executive officers of companies throughout the area. Just last week, asking them for internships. Just last week, Kaiser Permanente came forward and agreed to additional, and they're working with our social work people to additional internships there. So we're moving forward. University Enterprises has greatly increased its California interns program with the goal of securing 1,300 interns. We haven't made any progress, however, on centralizing the career office. We'll start working on that and continue moving forward. Start a campus-wide 6, discussion of impaction. The discussion has begun. Chevelle Newsom is heading it up. We have 9 impacted programs. They affect 6,600 plus students here. We're looking at solutions. One solution might be integrated enrollment, where every student comes forward and is in a pre-major. It may be the creation of a discovery college where all students who have not declared a major are part of it, but we'll get an answer. All in all, the impaction discussion is just beginning. Ensure Sac State is a great place to work. I do want to do that. But what I proposed wouldn't work. This is a big Rosanna Dana moment. I proposed that we took all of the surveys out of shrink wrap. All the exit surveys, all of the climate surveys and everything else, and that we create a task force and we look at that. What I've learned is that those surveys were not created with enough input from the faculty, staff, and the students. The surveys don't have the data that we need. You can't charge a task force to do something that we're not ready to do yet. So we're in the early stages of creating new surveys that will be more effective and will have the input of the faculty senate, of the staff assembly, of ASI, so that we have better instruments. Expand community outreach. I'm proud to report that everyone in the cabinet is now on a board. I am serving on the Greater Sacramento Economic Council. I'm serving on Valley Vision, on the Metro Chamber, on the Alumni Board. We're all out there and being involved. Largely because we haven't centralized our data centers, we have not, as I promised we were going to do, renewed and expanded Sac State's economic impact study, nor have we completed an assets analysis and program map, an academic program needs assessment of the Sacramento region. We haven't also established the Distinguished Speakers Series yet, although I'm proud of this the speeches that are coming, the speakers. Finally, increase fundraising. We have launched the first comprehensive campaign ever for this university, and we are starting to raise money. Jody and I have been having at least one dinner for donors per week in our house. I'm eating at least 2 lunches out with donors. I have put on 20 pounds. This is true. We've reinvigorated the President's Circle, and we're raising funds for that student emergency fund, for the food pantry, for study abroad, and for student travel. We're seeing a tremendous increase in the number of legacy donors who are putting us in their wills, who are giving us funds. The power of 1,000 Hornets is real. A donor after donor is giving us $1,000 towards that event center. One donor gave us $750,000. The science building is happening. The event center is going to happen. Hornet Pride is here and it's going to stay. We will succeed. But we can't take our foot off the proverbial pedal. Yes, I have a work plan, but one always has to do a lot more than just the items listed on the work plan. Please let me give you 3 to-dos to end this speech. 3 to-dos that we will be tackling in the next month. First and foremost, obviously, we have to hire a provost. We will have finished selecting a search committee by January 28th. Candidates should arrive on campus in early May for interviews and an open forum. We hope to have a provost selected by May and to have that provost here in early July or August. I am very grateful for everything that Ali Izadian as interim vice president of administration, Stacy Hayano as interim chief financial officer, and Mike Lee as interim provost are doing to help during the transition. Second to do, as we continue to bring global perspectives to the university, we need to continue to support the Office of International Programs and Global Engagement. We're creating a task force on internationalization that will examine how we can increase study abroad. Only 81 of our students studied abroad, okay? How we can increase study abroad, how we can make it easier for our students in the English Language Program Institute to matriculate at our university. We also need to look at our international programs and our international admissions process. Third, and most importantly, we are beginning a new budget cycle. We will continue to use the University Budget Advisory Committee, UBAC, to vet funding requests, but we are asking them to do so using a set of priorities. To establish those priorities, I am asking the Faculty Senate, the Staff Assembly, and student government to send me their funding priorities. I'm also meeting for a day and a half with my cabinet to pound out our priorities. I know that for me, safety, sufficient classes with sufficient faculty, student success initiatives, the downtown campus, the aforementioned diversity office, those are high priorities. But I'm open to advice and to knowing more. We will also be asking each college and each division to do a presentation, a budget presentation to the cabinet. A member of the Faculty Senate, a member of the Staff Assembly, and a member of ASI will be asked to be there to judge those and help us set the priorities. The intention is not to budget any longer solely on the basis of FTEs and full-time equivalents and all university expenses, but rather to base our budget upon needs, priorities, and innovative ideas. I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank the faculty for their dedication to their students and to their profession and to the university. Thank the university staff for making this university run, for making it successful, for making it beautiful. Thank the students who are planning on and will actually be graduating in 4 years. So that stinger is up, we know. So that the 33,600 students that we turned down because you didn't graduate quickly enough will be able to come. And we want to thank the donors, well, for just being donors. Thank you for being generous, caring supporters of our students. I'll take questions in just a minute. I know we're 5 minutes over, but we'll still take some questions, but I have to end it the way I end all speeches.
Sac State is #1! Stingers up!
Come forward, and any questions that anybody wants to ask, I'll do my best to answer them. I know it was boring. I know it was all about four-year graduation rates. I know you're worried about how we're going to do a four-year graduation rates. I know you're thinking, is he thinking about our students? We got so many students that need help. I love those students. We'll take care of them. They are exceptional. They will succeed.
Good morning.
Morning.
I am a women's studies major and ethnic studies major, and my question to you is, what is being done to remedy the asbestos in Amador Hall?
what specific asbestos are you talking about? Because we got asbestos, let me be honest, okay? We've got asbestos all over this campus, okay? And we are actually doing abatement throughout the campus in various areas. We're trying to focus mainly on wherever there's construction taking place. For instance, when we were doing the library and the international programs in the library, we did the abatement there. We've done some over in the physical plant areas because we're running cables over there. So is there a specific area you're talking about?
Throughout the building, as far as students that frequently go there and the faculty that work there, it's my understanding it's been an ongoing problem that's been overlooked.
As I said, there is a lot of deferred maintenance here, and there's asbestos in every building that we've got because of the dated building. We do run tests, though, and there are now active live spots in that building right now. So,
Okay, thank you.
but we'll keep watching. Boy, this is the easiest audience I've ever had.
Good morning. This question might not be as difficult as that last one was. So my name is Christina. I work in student organizations and leadership, and I recently had a student ask me about meeting with you for your office hours, and I encouraged him to do that. He was a new transfer student that was just starting and wanted to talk to you a bit about some of the concerns that he had. And his response was, well, I really doubt that he would stick around after 5 o'clock for a student. So I'm curious, if you had a student that was interested in meeting with you outside of your office hours, in general, what would be an appropriate response for that student?
I met with students Saturday this week, okay?
Excellent.
So the appropriate answer is we make time to be able to do it.
Perfect. Thank you.
And I had to go downstairs and let them in because the building was locked. Okay, if nobody's got any more questions, thank you for being here. Thank you for being the wonderful people you are. Thank you for everything you're doing for our students. We love you.
Oh, God.
When you start reading off all the initiatives.
Yeah, as fast as I did.
I'm like, okay, let's just recap.
Thank you.
As always, you do